Alright guys, welcome back to another video we're going to cover on the Bass Fishing 101 series. This is going to be part 3. So here's some stuff that you might want to look for in today's adventure. So today, let's go ahead and start at the beginning. We started with rods, we went over to baits. Now we're going to talk about general fishing situations, places to look. Today's video we're going to start off and we're going to start with ponds. So today we're here at a pond. We've got some stuff and we got it all spread out here for you, so kind of recommend what you want here. Now, you see number one, this is not mandatory, but it's nice to have a chair to sit down, relax. You're going to perch fish or whatever. Rods, you don't necessarily have to bring every rod. Sometimes I bring more than what I really need. You can just bring simply a spin cast like we've talked about, or just a simple bait caster like I've talked about. Either one will work. I'm probably going to be fishing 2 or 3 different baits, so it's just a lot easier just to switch rods. But you don't have to have that. Now, some of the baits I'm going to try to cover today, you guys have already seen. So I've got my stick bait box here, full of Senko, stuff like that. I've got our jigs. I've got some small jigs, some of our finesse jigs that I'm going to try to throw out here. Number one, what I always like to start with on a pond, spinnerbait. You can go get small ones, whatever. I mean, you guys, I'll tell you what, if you go to the store and you're going to go buy a couple spinnerbaits to go try out at the pond, go ahead and go with the bigger one and then get a smaller one too. I would always start with the bigger one, try to catch that bigger bass, but if they're not biting it, you still want to throw something kind of moving, I would throw that spinnerbait. Now the reason I say that a lot of these ponds you get to, they're going to have moss in them, they're going to have grass in them, there's going to be a lot of stuff to get hung up, so throwing stuff with treble hooks, it's a guessing game if you're going to get hung up. So spinnerbait, it's going to come through that stuff a lot easier. Which leads us to the jigs. So you can bring, like I said, I bring my jig box, so I've got some of our shaky heads here. I'll probably use some of them today, along with some of our finesse jigs. So you can see that's just a smaller profile jig. It's the ball head and the finesse skirt. Kind of give it that smaller presentation since we're going to be in a pond. So one other thing, just in case I didn't say it, bug spray. Always want to bring bug spray. This area is kind of beat down already, but some of these ponds and stuff you're going to get to, you probably might want to bring a weed eater if you got one, knock the weeds down unless you like standing in the grass. So let's go ahead and get ready and then we'll get to fishing, guys. Alright guys, back to pond fishing. Like I said, when I get a chance, I always like to start with the spinnerbaits. So here was the smaller one that I was talking about just a little bit earlier in the video. When you can't get away with using this, they're not biting it, here's something along the lines of what I'm talking about. Something kind of small, and you see it's still got big enough hooks that it's going to catch bass. And you can actually get smaller spinnerbaits like this. It's got a big single hook in the back. And a lot of times you'll get this bite, you'll get them on this. So the other thing I ended up doing whenever I couldn't get them on that fast bite, and I don't know if it's because the water's high in the pond, if that affected them or what, but they was kind of not really wanting to eat. So we went plumb to the bottom of the old tackle bag here and brought out an old stick bait and wacky rig. And it's real simple, throw it out, takes forever, goes down, and just keep on popping it and working it, and I'll show you a fish catch that we had with this. There he is. Oh, well, you see right here, we're just using a Senko. Pretty healthy fish. Alright, so now that you've seen that fish, now we'll talk about the next bait we used. Next bait was a prop bait, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a prop bait. You can use a buzz bait, you can use a frog, and like I said, if you can get that size kind of smaller, Whopper Plopper, Chopo by Berkeley, whatever. Use something that's kind of small presentation, unless you know that you got big bass there and they bite big baits. Then go for that big presentation. But luckily the cameraman hooked us up with their old prop bait here, and we was able to get a few bites. Now there's a couple different ways that you can work this thing. A lot of times what I'll end up doing is I'll throw it out and I'll just kind of pop my rod, and you'll actually see, you know, from the earlier video of us catching one on the wacky rig, that there is brush and stuff everywhere. So what I ended up having to do is just take my reel and just kind of reel it fast to get that buzz going. And what you want to do is you either want to make it pop or kind of make it leave that bubble trail behind. So I'll show you a couple fish we caught with that real quick. There he is. All right. So watch these hooks. Anytime you guys are dealing with treble hooks, make sure and watch that, because I don't want nobody getting hooked. That hurts. So there's another one. A little bit better. So like I said, guys, you know, I told you right out of the gate, you know, some of the best baits I used to use was spinner baits and stuff like that. And you can see today that spinnerbait didn't pay off. Spinnerbait was a little slow. You know, I had one come up and swipe at it, and then, you know, he just didn't want it. So let's get a picture for our social pages. You guys see Cabs take a picture? So you cannot beat top water. I love top water. So the next thing that we're going to try is we went ahead and broke out the fly rod. Got the old top water frog on with the fly rod, and we ended up catching one. I'll show you that video here in just a minute, and I'll just let that be the closing. So I'm going to give you the final last tips. When you got a small pond like that, a lot of times you can stay in one spot, work it. Sometimes it's better to move, okay? So make sure when you're going out looking for ponds, ask for permission. Just don't be running around somebody's land. Ask for permission. And you know, if they don't care if you weed eat around the pond banks where you can stand, you might ask them. They might not care. They might like you cleaning out their pond, you know, around the pond a little bit. Now, when you go to fish that thing, do a fan cast technique, okay? So just go from your left and just slowly keep working right. Now, if you're fishing that bait, you're going slow, you're going fast, or if you're working something that, you know, is a dragging bait, as far as like jig, Texas rig, or a wacky rig, is kind of slow. If you're doing that stuff, you know, like change up your presentation. But if you're using a moving bait, as far as a square bill or rattle trap, anything that's got a lot of movement, spinner bait, you know, you try fast. If that's not working, slow it down. You know, spinnerbait, I was actually going through and kind of throwing some of my stuff that, you know, that's last resort. You know, reeling it, popping it, and just trying to flare that skirt, make them blades hit together, make that bass go ahead and commit. We had a few short strike, and to that mean, you know, to that right there, that's usually our hot bait on that little pond is a spinnerbait. And as soon as I seen that short striking, I knew put it up, get it out of there, throw something else. So we went to wacky rig, and then we went top water. We ended up making it connect. Now, that just goes to show you, be ready when you go to a pond. Just because they bit something one day doesn't mean they're going to bite it another day. You're going to have to think outside of the box and be able to catch them. So we'll throw you that fly fishing catch in there. Kind of cool. If you guys fish with a fly rod, you know what I'm talking about. You guys, you don't, you need to try it out. It's kind of fun. So till next time, guys, this is part number 3. Next part will be the best one. We're going to the lake. We'll see you guys later.